What is up, guys? This is Weasel for PokerVIP.com in association with William Hill Poker. This is the fourth session out of four of us playing some live action on the 6+ Hold'em tables. We've got 3 tables of 4NL, we've got 1 table of 10NL. These are literally the highest limit games that are running at the moment. But I think the limits is not too important right now anyway. It's more a case of understanding the principles regarding okay theoretical play at this new variant of 6+ Hold'em. Okay, so King 8 in the small blind. It might be good enough to ISO. I'm just going to complete. I think largely to do with his stack size actually. Ace King. Again, I'm just going to join in the family way pot here and not re-raise pre-flop. I don't think it's quite good enough to re-raise for 6+. I think Ace King suited is a pretty straightforward squeeze, but Ace King offsuit, maybe not so much. Could even fold. I mean, it's not the hand that's going to play super well out of position in a 5-way pot. It's, a little bit unclear what the best play is. I guess in no limit hold'em it'd be a pretty easy squeeze, but Ace King offsuit's nowhere as good in 6+ as it is in regular hold'em. King Jack, again, not a super good hand, but should be playable blind versus blind. 7-6 is a pretty nice hand in this variant. We're looking to play that hand. Ace 9, again, another pretty decent hand. Pretty easy open from the cutoff for this holding. 10-7. If we did have a 3-betting range, I guess this would likely be part of it. 6-7 of spades. Again, I'm going to tag along here. I'm not 100% sure what the ramifications of this are. I can see there's a chance we get re-raised, which is not great. 10-7 is now just an easy fold. I think the 3-bet's okay, though. I'm just kind of hoping we get into a big family pot with the possibility of making a flush. I think Ace 9 here, I'm just going to put out a very small protection bet, then give up afterwards. Top pair's not a great hand. Okay, we get to see a flop, which is good. The backdoor flush, although it's going to be tough to continue when the pot's this bloated, so I'm kind of hoping we get a free card. I'm torn between underbetting the Ace 9 and just checking back. Obviously want to protect when there's a bunch of draws out there, but the chance that we don't have the best hand is just high enough that checking is probably the best play. 7 might be an okay river. It does counterfeit some stuff like 10-jack. I don't think we can fold for 4 cents. I expect to lose most of the time, but I think we have to call for that price. Okay, min raise, we have to go with a 6-7 as well. Here we have trip jacks. I'm just going to lead out. We do have 1 or 2 kicker issues with this holding, so we should still be somewhat careful if we get raised. Now we pick up the OESD as well. Well, when I say as well, we don't have the flush draw anymore, and it's actually a lot more valuable to have something like a flush draw on this turn card than it is to have the OESD, because we could be drawing dead to pocket 9s right now. So it's not a super good spot to be in. 5-way. We're still going to hit 24% of the time in the river or so, which is pretty big. Actually, wait, hold on. Again, I'm making like newbie mistakes. You saw I made one in the other video. We actually have a straight here, and if you're paying attention to the earlier videos, I was like, one thing you should never ever do is don't misread your hand when you have a straight. Well, guess what? We had a straight because that 9 completes a straight because we have Ace 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this is just me making some more 6+ Hold'em newbie mistakes. So yeah, we had a straight on the turn actually. There may have been a better play which was different. In my mind, I'm saying we have the OESD, so, well done if you spotted that before me. If it's also news to you that we had a straight on the turn, then, I don't blame you at all. I did know from the beginning this is going to be one of the most common things that players are going to miss. It's not necessarily going to make the difference between a winning or losing player at these limits. I mean, we're up a lot of buy-ins already over a small sample of hands. But, you know, maybe we missed a little bit to our win rate there because I didn't realize straight away we had a straight. And, you know, I should have. So this is just basic beginner mistakes. So here we have 2 pair. Gonna lead for protection and thin value. Ace Queen we have to open, and this guy looks like a weaker player as well, just based on his stack size. So Ace Queen, pretty standard open. That's a pretty terrible turn card. I think we should still bet for protection though, just about strong enough. So go for a small bet, then give up afterwards. Ace Queen, gonna come in for a raise. Actually make it 3x just because I think the small blind might be kind of bad. And then the river's again terrible, like pretty good chance we don't have the best hand anymore, but we can always hope. No, he had aces up on the turn. Again, it's fine if he has us beat, we didn't lose too much, we made a very small bet, so that's completely okay for us to lose that amount. We have top pair, top kicker in this case, which is not super strong hand, is 6+, but it's enough that we should be betting the flop for value more than likely. And probably a decent amount of turns as well, but it's only worth 2 streets. And, you know, even 2 streets can be a little bit thin depending on the board run out. But I think that board's pretty okay for us. It's reasonably safe, so if the turn card's blankish, then we should definitely be firing 2 cards for value. Ace 8, it's kind of garbage, and against the 4x open, pretty straightforward fold. Ace King, also kind of garbage, you know, not a super great hand in this variant. 10-9 is not an open from the small blind, it's actually part of my folding range. Ace King, I still think we can ISO Ace King though. You know, it does have some value. So I think ISO raising is probably the best play. Ace 9 from the button, I actually open raise Ace 10+, so I'm actually going to fold this hand. The flop's not great for Ace King. You know, we're more or less drawing dead against any queen, actually. That's just, you know, one of the ways that 6+ hold'em works. You know, we have to hit runner, full house to actually outdraw those kind of hands. As you mentioned in some of the earlier videos, you'll find a lot of these spots where you can literally just be drawing dead immediately on the flop because your opponent has something like a queen here. And like even if you do make the straight, you still lose, basically. This happens less often in no-limit hold'em. A lot more often in 6+ hold'em. You have to be aware of these spots and adjust your play accordingly. So there's very little value with ever continuing with the Ace King here because we can spike our Jack and we're just drawing dead anyway. Whereas, you know, other players will continue with their draws, they will continue with their gut shots to OESDs, which is, you know, why we can take money off the tables at this stage of 6+ development. Ace 10, really easy to defend in this spot. It's one of the best hands in this game. Could definitely think about leading the flop here with the Ace 10. I would definitely lead 3-way, 4-way. I don't think it matters too much. I think leading is probably still slightly better though, just because it's not really strong enough to check call, but it is strong enough to lead. So that should end up being the highest EV option. Check folding is obviously 0. If we're saying we can lead, rather we're saying that leading must be at least 0 EV. If it's exactly 0 EV, it doesn't matter which option we take, whether we check fold or whether we bet. But if it's slightly higher than 0 EV, then we should actually take that option. Queen 9 from the cutoff. I think this is just about going to be an ISO. I think it should be strong enough. Okay, flop trip queens. Again, not the nuts. It's just a strong made hand. But it's not invulnerable or anything. Well, I guess here's the interesting thing. If it's kind of way ahead, way behind in most cases. So basically, we don't want to bet too big for that reason. Basically, if someone has, you know, a better queen, we're doing pretty badly. If they have a worse queen or they don't have a queen, then we're doing excellently in terms of equity. So like, there's not too much you can really change on various turn and river cards. You know, there's no possible. Well, there is a possible backdoor flush, I guess, but you know, it's not that likely that hand's going to hit. Now, I do want to lead the Ace 10, but I think the stack size is just not quite right for it. You know, it's an excellent hand to lead generally, but when these guys are playing like 35 BB or something, it's probably going to be slightly better to check the flop. And just check fold against that sizing. Probably has a set, and we only have about 30% equity against the set. Actually, not 30%. Nothing like 30% actually. If we had the flush draw, we'd have 30%, but we've got a backdoor flush draw, so he has 2 pairs, so we had significantly more equity than I might have thought we did. But he's overplaying his 2 pair in that spot. There's no way he should be overbetting the flop like that. He's just going to lose too much money against people's sets. But that's fine. You know, we had a pretty easy fold either way. And we know in future that it's a profitable opponent to have it out of tables. It's going to be overvaluing some stuff. As you mentioned, we can use OESDs as semi-bluffs. Pretty good semi-bluffing hands actually, but you know, we're not necessarily trying to play for stacks or anything. And if our opponent starts being aggressive, they're not super good hands to call against raises because they carry a large amount of reverse implieds. Whereas if our opponent just keeps on calling, he probably doesn't have a set because he would raise, so usually our hand's going to be good if it hits. At least it's going to be good more frequently. So they're good for playing small pots, and they're very good as the aggressor, but they're not very good as the caller. I think we probably have a call here with the Queen 7. We can turn some trip queens, and we have the backdoor flush. Again, it's going to be close-ish, I guess. Ace 9 with a pretty easy open from UTG, but 4-way on this texture, I think giving up is going to be correct. Jack 8 and Queen 7 hands are somewhat similar, going to defend them for the same reason. Should we bet the turn here with the Queen 7? I would say probably not. Should we bet with the Jack 8? Yes, we should. And the difference is there's less players. Okay, so let me check this one. Actually, no, I check call. I don't have the initiative here, actually. So actually, I should check on both tables. There isn't too much of a difference, actually. Ace 9 is now pretty straightforward fold on that texture. Okay, we bricked the river. That's fine. We fold. We got to free roll the river, which is pretty good. Now let's think about this. We're potentially going to be putting 25 into 75, but also could be 25 into €1 because the other guy may tag along as well. We're going to hit about 15%. So it's basically just really borderline. But we do have some trip jack outs as well, so that might just tip it in our favor slightly. I don't know how good it is to have trip jack outs. Okay, and this is like something we didn't factor in because it's just really unlikely that it happens, but it did happen. Now we're putting 75 into total pot of about 250, so it's going to be just under 1/3 of the pot. We're not going to hit enough to justify a call here, plus we don't have the nut draw or anything. Now we have to give up. 6-7. Again, we flop trips, pretty good. Worst possible trip combos, worth keeping that in mind, so, you know, it's not like a monster or anything. Plus someone could have pocket 10s. And we're in pretty bad shape. I think if he has a flush, he'll donk shove. Let's see what he does. He checks again. I think this is... I think we had a similar spot earlier, where I'm going to assume that he would raise better 7x, and he might lead his flushes sometimes. So this might be a little bit thin with the overbet sizing. But it's also to do with the way the stack size is set up. I don't want to bet like 40 and then have an awkward river decision on like a completed flush or something. So I actually think this could be the best play pretty easily, just to overbet ship. But assuming we were playing deeper stacks, there's no way overbetting would be correct. So this is purely a function of his remaining stack size, where I think that using an overbet sizing on the turn has a playability advantage in that we don't have to play the river in that case. So I think that's, you know, the best play. 8-9. I don't think it matters too much what you do in this spot. I think checking's fine, I think betting's fine. So I'm just going to pick one randomly, take it from there. I'm obviously going to check call, have a flush draw. 7s, have to set mine here. Great odds, although, you know, one wonders what the chances are of being dominated here. I mean, it's a little bit hard in general for two people to have a flush, just because there aren't that many 2-diamond hands left. You know, King Jack would obviously be the royal flush. That's not that likely. There are some hands, like there's like King 7 of diamonds or something. Jack 7. There aren't a lot of combos. I don't know exactly how many combos are remaining for opponent when one player has a flush on the river in 6+ Hold'em. You could probably answer that question pretty easily with, you know, Equilab or something, even though it's designed for regular poker games. So you can answer that question pretty easily. I don't know the answer at this stage. I'm not going to calculate it now, but let's just say flush over flush is not really as likely in this variant as it is in other variants. Yeah, I'm just going to give up the 7s here in this case. Queen 7, going to give up as well. Again, this would be a pretty standard bluff spot in No Limit. I'm not sure how standard it is in 6+, but let's just try it out. I mean, obviously we're not trying to get them to fold a jack. What we hope is they're good enough to fold something like 2 pair. So, you know, if he has a jack, that's fine. Obviously not trying to fold out basically the nuts. Though maybe it's a little bit different, just because, you know, in No Limit Hold'em, if someone has the jack, they have the nuts. Whereas in this variant, they could have the jack, or they could have any set combination, which actually beats the jack. So maybe it's slightly different. Although, usually if someone did have a set, they would have played it differently on an earlier street, so it's not like that likely someone has the set, really. King Queen, standard button open, Jack 9 from MP. Actually, we're Jack 9 on the cutoff right now because one guy's sitting out, so I think we have to call against a min raise. Could also 3-bet, probably would be fine. Let's see if he bets. I think I might just fold if he bets. Yeah, I don't see any good reason to continue here. Ace Jack from the button. This guy limps, and I think it's just about strong enough to ISO in this format. Nines, gonna be a standard open from UTG. On this flop with the Ace Jack, I think we just check back. I don't see too good of a reason to bet, really. Ace 6, pretty standard open raise. I think Ace Jack, we just check it down and hope bad Jack X is good. I mean, so 6 is going to be a standard open in this spot. Ace 6. Okay, I think we just bet for protection. So I think about 30 is fine in this case. And again, we're pretty happy if we take it down. Nines, I think we give up. Can we make trip aces? So again, we should just bet again for thin value. Remember, our kicker is obviously the worst kicker. You also lose to stuff like jacks and 7s, although they would typically raise the flop. Now he leads, which is... it's a little bit strange. And I'm not sure whether we should be raising here. I think calling's fine. It's possible raising's the best, though. I think I'm just going to go for a delayed c-bet here with the 6s. And he bets the river. I think we have to call based on his sizing, but I would say we're probably losing to stuff like Ace Queen, Ace 10 the majority of the time. But I don't think we can fold to this sizing. He has 7-6, so I really have no idea what he's doing. But it's just a pot odds call. Here with the 6s we check back because we do still beat stuff like Ace 10, King 10, Ace King potentially. So yeah, I'm not super excited with the trip aces call just because of the kicker issues we have, but I don't think we can fold for that sizing. If he'd bet larger, I would have folded. Really, his sizing makes no sense with the type of hand he has. because we're not really folding too many better hands for that sizing. Like he should either just not bet and hope he's good at showdown, a small percentage, or he should just, you know, go for the bluff and like actually bet a bigger sizing. Okay, so King 9, I guess we just give up. 6-7 might be playable, though I think it's okay to fold just because it's 4x ISO and we have like 7 high. I think it might be okay to fold in that spot. Could be wrong. I mean, it's certainly okay to fold in no limit. So that might be a reasonable thing. We can fold at 6+, but there is some crossover. There are some hands we defend in this variant that we would not defend in no limit. In most cases, we're going to be defending tighter than we would in no limit, but there are some spots where it's the opposite, and we'd actually fold a hand in no limit, but we definitely defend a 6+. So that's why it's important to come to grips with this idea that the hand strength is not equal. Like, so just because one type of hand's a good hand in one variant doesn't mean it's a good type of hand in the other variant, you know, at all. So we've kind of seen that illustrated with hands such as Ace King. You know, great hand in no limit, but not such a good hand in 6+. Whereas other hands go up in value. So, you know, stuff like pocket pairs, for example. I actually wanted to make it 20 here, but I didn't want to use my time bank, so it ended up being 24. King 10, I think it should be good enough to ISO. So just in general, any suited stuff just going to be like miles ahead of unsuited stuff. That's how I'm kind of approaching this variant at this stage. I think it's probably okay to raise here. I'm not really sure what this guy's doing with his min bet sizing. I don't know whether that means he has something or not. I really don't know. But we have a pretty good semi-bluffing hand in this variant, so I think raising is probably going to be the best play. We have 10s, we call an open raise from MP, we're on the button with 10s. I think if everyone checks we can make a small bet. If someone bets, I think it's just okay to give up with 10s here. We do have the backdoor flush, but I think it's just not quite good enough to continue against a bet. But it's certainly strong enough to protection bet. That would obviously been a great turn card, and keep in mind it's the effective nuts really, assuming no one has queens, because it doesn't matter if someone has a straight, we're still good against straights. So in terms of button opens, I do not open queen 10 offsuit on the button, so this is going to be a fold. Definitely open ace 9 suited from MP though, I definitely open pocket 8s, and definitely open ace 7 suited from cutoff. So, you know, I'm going to fold ace king from MP, but I'm going to open ace 9 suited. That should tell you a little bit about how the value that we assign to certain hand strengths is different. Okay, normally I'd barrel the ace 9 if I pick up the clubs. I don't, so I'm going to give up. Ace king, I'm just going to call against a min raise. I think he could still 3-bet. Check back here. Now this guy raises me. I'm going to be putting 20 cents into a pot of like 120 or something. So I think, you know, I clearly have the right price and implied call, because remember, I don't need to worry about being dominated. You know, if I hit, the only hand that beats me is quad kings, and he probably doesn't have that. So I missed my flush in both tables, but you know, that's just how it goes. I'm trying to think. I mean, you could have maybe, I don't know, queen jack of clubs or something, and that 7x is good. Mostly we lose though. But we're just going to check and hope he checks back. Pretty easy fold when he shoves. We checked back the ace king, which probably wasn't the best play actually. I think I missed a bet there somewhere in the hand, but I'm not going to fold when we river the ace. Just going to call. You know, not super excited about it. Could easily still lose. You know, we need to be good 25% to make the call there. I think we're good 25%. I think we're probably good like 45%. So pretty straightforward call. 6-7. So one of the things I discovered as I was making these series is that I'm going to be folding these hands. So even just in the few hundred hands that I've played for this 4-part series, I have made some refinements to my strategy. Admittedly, this is a particular refinement where I don't really know how I'm affecting my EV that much. And I think it's going to be very difficult to say until someone develops some software for this game. I mean, there's no software to store preflop ranges, although you can, for example, use Equilab and just pretend you're using a smaller grid. But there's nothing like equity calculation for 6+, as far as I know. And if there is, then, you know, it's just the Russian hackers that have it. Like, not me, I certainly don't have any equity calculation software for this variant yet. So, while it might be out there, it's definitely not commercially available. You know, this is still a variant where the majority of players don't really have a clue how to play. And you know, if this does kick off, and come back and watch this training video in 5 years' time, some of the stuff that I'm doing will probably be fundamentally wrong. You know, in the same way that when we watch a No Limit Hold'em video from 10 years ago, you know, some of the stuff is just clearly not the best play. But it doesn't matter too much. You know, we're not trying to play theoretically perfect 6+ Hold'em, we're simply just trying to be better than our opponents. And it's been kind of tough to lose money, actually, over the 4 sessions we've played. You know, people seem to be queuing up to donate money at this stage. So although it's mainly low limit games that are running, so you know, you're not going to make $1 million playing this right now. You can certainly build your bankroll. And you know, from my very limited knowledge of the game, I can already see that people are making some huge fundamental errors in the way they're approaching the game. I think queens we just check down and hope he doesn't have king jack or something, which is completely conceivable. He bets the river, I'll just check fold. Okay, so we open tens. I think we open tens. Yeah, we open tens. Remember that we beat any straights here, so we should usually start by value betting. He could have jacks in his range, but you know, he also has nines in his range. And he has other stuff like flush draws, 2-pair. So, you know, pretty easy value bet. I don't think he has aces too much. I think he would probably re-raise if he has aces, so let's just make sure we set up the stacks correctly. I think €1 is fine. And then we can ship based on what the river card is. King 10. I mean, I'm definitely going to defend. I'm just wondering if it's worth 3-betting this combo some percentage of the time. I think I'll just stick with a call for now. I think I should 3-bet some suited aces here, though. Some stuff like king jack, king queen, some of the time. I don't know whether I need to 3-bet king 10 ever. Queen 7. Actually, I'm just going to check fold this hand. 3-way. Looks like someone 3-bet, and he doesn't have a full stack, so pretty happy just to fold king 10. (10-6). I think I will tag along here. See if we can make some flushes. Jack 9, going to tag along for the same reason. Don't think it's quite strong enough to ISO. I'm going to start by checking this combo just because it's one of the weaker flush draws. And I'm going to check fold the Jack 9. Obviously I'm going to check call the 10-6 because we have a flush draw, pretty good hand in this variant. Could raise, not going to though. I don't necessarily want to get the money in. Plus this guy's got such a short stack, I want to encourage some other guys to tag along as well. The ace doesn't really scare us in the same way that, you know, a no limit would be like, oh no, now he could have a boat, we're drawing dead. Doesn't work like that. We're still drawing very much live. The only hands we're drawing more or less dead against, or very slim against, are the better flush draws. So it can still be reasonably comfortable on a diamond river. And we break, that's fine as well. We now have a pretty straightforward check fold. Ace King suited is a great hand in 6+, so it's a lot different from Ace King offsuit. So we're going to go ahead and 3-bet. And this guy shoves all in. I think this is a call, but it's not as straightforward as it would be in No Limit Hold'em. Okay, he sucks out. It's fine. So, okay, we got the money in with, you know, decisive equity edge, so pretty happy with that. Jack 7, I think I'm just going to check fold. Pocket Jacks, obviously going to open the button. And again, it's probably a stack off against a guy with like 25 BB. Even in 6+. We obviously have to stack up a bit tighter in 6+ than we do in No Limit. So that's the only reason why we have to think about these hands. Like obviously if this was No Limit, then we'd just be snap getting the money in as fast as possible. But you have to think a little bit harder in 6+ because stacking off range needs to be a bit tighter. That's pretty bad turn card with the ace. Again, I'm going to bet for protection here. Check back the river. And he folds, which is a great outcome. Anytime we're betting for protection and someone folds, that's good. In many cases, it might even mean the EV is higher than if they called, so that's great for us. He was definitely falling out some equity there. There's no way he was drawing dead. Pocket 8 is pretty standard open from MP. Going to open any pocket pair here. I think the Jack 7 can just check and hope he has like 8-9, 10-8, 10-9, stuff like this. You know, we'll lose most of the time, but we have enough showdown value where check folding is probably the best play. Guess he had like 8-9 or something. That's the only thing that really makes sense. Unless he had... No, I think that's what he must have had, really. Like a gut shot with the 6 and the 7 or OEST. I'll have a quick look. No, he did have a flop. I was going to say this the other type of hand he could have, like the backdoor flush draws, but most of those are going to be ace of clubs. But he had specifically as a king 10. I think... Okay, let's think about this. I think this is probably a 3-bet here with the king 10. Do I want to ISO this hand? Probably. Yeah, as we've mentioned on several occasions, it's not a super great hand. I think king 7 might be a bit wide, but ace queen. Okay, let's go with it. There's a bit of dead money in there, but it's, you know, it's not a super good hand in this variant. Ace queen, I will fold against the 4x though. Alright, so let's summarize a few things. I guess number 1, understand how to make the nuts in this game. So flushes and sets are good. Straights, not so good. So, you know, very simple ruling there. Just, you know, keep that in mind. Make sure you don't miss the ace 6, 7, 8, 9 straight. It's really, really easy to miss that one. I even missed it during video 3. If you're watching, you may have seen that I just didn't realize I had a straight. I think it was video 3. Maybe it was this video. I don't remember. But I didn't realize I had a straight. So don't be that guy who doesn't realize you have a straight. The other thing I did as well was in one of the sessions, we actually got the money in set versus set. And the board came runner straight. So there was a straight on the board. And I just assumed I'd lost the hand because... You know, normally in No Limit Hold'em, if you get 2 sets in and the board runs out a straight, it means... Okay, can I value bet here? I think I can't. See, normally when the board runs out a straight, it means the guy with the sets now chop. So I assumed I'd lost the pot. It was only till about 20 seconds afterwards, like, hey, why is my stack double if I just chop that pot? It doesn't make any sense. And then I realized that I'd, you know, misread my hand because I hadn't been in that situation before. So don't make mistakes like that if you can. I mean, you're going to make a few, but don't make any really obvious mistakes where you have a straight and you think you've got the nuts, that kind of stuff, when obviously any set beats you in that situation. So there are some differences. Finally, understand that if you come from a No Limit Hold'em background, you can use a lot of the same theory to help you make your decisions in certain spots. Understand that straights have bad reverse implied odds. Flush draws have great implied odds, even if the board pairs in 6+ Hold'em. So keep that in mind. And understand that many of the preflop principles can also apply, you know, preflop principles from No Limit Hold'em can also apply to 6+ Hold'em, because we've said you can use the same frequencies for opening. The only harder part is to understand which hands are going to be theoretically correct as opens within a certain frequency. So keep all these things in mind, and hopefully you should do pretty well at the 6+ tables. If you have any questions, then just leave me a comment below the video. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Weasel for PokerVIP.com in association with William Hill Poker.